All right, so I'm here with Chris. How do you say your last name? Kofi?
Coffee, just like the drink.
Just like to drink coffee. All right. Chris has a J Swap Honda S2000. Um, just pretty much, but I know about you. Obviously, I've been talking to you for a long time. We've been friends for quite a bit at this point. We even met in person at Daytona,
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool. And but for the viewers, I kind of want to explain them, let them know a little bit about you, what you do, why you chose the S2000. Just give us a little bit of rundown about what it is you do.
yeah. So I run a race shop for Norwood Auto Italia. We run a series called International GT. We run retired Ferrari Challenge cars against primarily like Porsche Cup cars and other Ferrari Challenge cars. I've been racing motorcycles for a decade and decided to make the switch to cars. So I started looking at what I thought would be a cheap, reliable, and fast race car for my first race car. So I came across an S2000 that I did not know at the time, but I got an incredible deal on it compared to what they're selling for nowadays.
Okay.
But so I did a few races with it and found that the car had no torque. And while it was pretty quick and we finished really well and won some races, it was not as fun to drive as I thought it should be. And then we were doing a 24-hour race at High Plains in Colorado, and it blew a head gasket. When that happened, I found out that to drive an S2000 fast, you had to be close to red line all the time because that's where all the power is made.
Yep.
So once we started having issues with the car, our pace started falling dramatically. It was then I decided we needed to make some sort of change. So looking around on what was available on the market, I found the J Series motor, and that J Series swaps were becoming popular. And I could buy a J Series motor for like $500 when a used S2000 motor is like $2,500 to $3,000, and you don't really know what you're getting. So I thought, well, V6, more torque, same horsepower, 240 horsepower for the J35. And it was just, I thought, a perfect fit at the time.
Right. How do you feel pretty much switching from the high revving S2000 over to the pretty much low revving J series? Did that really affect the transmission or anything like that, or?
Yeah, we had to make a big gearing change. We had to go with the 363 gears from a Mazda Speed Miata just to be able to maintain some sort of drivability with the car. Because with the stock gear set, it would top out at like 100 miles an hour or something ridiculous like that. So we did the 363 gears, and the biggest difference with the engine that I found is that we can short shift and be a lot easier on the car and a lot easier on the drivetrain, but go faster. And so that was the biggest upside, is that we didn't have to wring the car out the whole time. We could take it easy and short shift, and we actually found that short shifting made the car even faster than just the swap itself, which was friggin' awesome because the lower the RPM we could use, the longer everything lasts. And with the car being an endurance car, it made a world of difference.
Yeah, I can see that being very, very beneficial. Get a lot more life out of your motor too, not having to spin it so high.
Yeah.
How did it affect what class you were racing in?
So the car was originally built for a series called WRL, which is at the time was based off of factory rated horsepower and weight. So that's why I chose the J35 specifically, is because it was factory rated at 240 horsepower, which was the same horsepower that an S2000 motor is rated at. So it didn't change the classing at all in any way, shape, or form. The the J35 actually makes pretty close to 240 horsepower stock, whereas the S2000 motor makes, like, you're lucky to get over 200 horsepower stock,
Yeah.
even though they claim 240. So they fudged the numbers in opposite directions. So it didn't change the classing of the car at all, made the car way faster just in the way that you drive it, and then made the car faster because it had more horsepower anyway.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the J series are pretty much able to dyno right around what they're rated at versus,
Yeah.
S2000, like you said, rated 240, but you're lucky if you can crack 200 in stock trim. Even with proper bolt-ons, I mean, you only pick up a couple of horsepower there. So,
Yeah. I
yeah,
think like the top guys are making like 220 horsepower if they have all the good stuff in a really good tune. And the J series motor straight out of a junkyard makes that.
yeah, and the 3.5 makes a good right around what 250 foot-pounds of torque or so.
Yeah, so my car was actually at one time, it's gone through several different iterations of how much horsepower it makes, but at one time it was making like 235 horsepower and 245 torque.
Yeah,
And so it's been pretty crazy how the numbers have worked in my favor. But the torque curve is pretty flat and the power curve is pretty flat. So it really helps with classing.
yeah, no, that's awesome. So obviously this year has been kind of a funky year, but rolling here into 2021, are you pretty much going to be sticking in the same class? Are you trying to go with championship in WRL, or you're going to be running a different series? Or
Well, we got some pretty big changes for 2021. We've been running the car for, I think, a little over 4 years in WRL, and it's become the series has become hard to win because there's so many quality drivers and quality cars with quality teams showing up, and I've just found that for my budget, the amount that I have to spend to continue running WRL next year is going to be more than I can. So I'm switching the car over to primarily sprint racing, which means we're redoing the engine entirely, using a lot of stuff that I've been getting from you, including the CNC heads and pistons and all the other valve train goodies. And we're going to try to maximize power output with staying normally aspirated and try to do maximize the car for sprint racing. So basically, we're going to take a lot of weight out of the car, all the extra stuff for endurance racing that you don't need in sprint racing, like diff pumps, diff coolers, transmission coolers, all that kind of stuff to really get the weight down and then increase the power. So hopefully the car is going to be a lot faster this year, and we'll be able to set some track records.
yeah, no, that sounds awesome. I mean, in some ways, you're going to be able to simplify the car some, while
Yeah,
at the same time improving the engine quite a bit.
yeah,
Obviously,
sure.
the P2R CNC heads are going to help quite a bit there. The whole Ferrero valve train package and everything like that. I'm looking forward to seeing how your lap times improve at the same tracks in
Yeah,
2021 as opposed to how you did in 2020.
yeah, it's going to be exciting because before, with the car in endurance trim, we set a couple of SCCA track records in sprint racing and endurance trim. So once we maximize the car for sprint racing, it's only going to be faster. And so we actually won the ST3 regional championship with NASA this year. Next year, I know there's going to be a lot more competitors, and I'm really looking forward to the challenge. But we set some track records in ST3 in endurance trim, and so, like I said, the car is only going to be faster. Not to mention your amazing customer service skills, where I'm messaging you at 2 o'clock in the morning, saying, send me more parts.
Yeah, well, I only respond to a few people during the hours, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, that's Chris Coffey. Chris Coffey. I don't know why I call you Coffey, but
Just
it's
like
Chris Coffey.
just like the drink.
Just like the drink. Awesome, man. Well, it was good speaking with you.